What if I told you that the path to financial freedom might be sitting right outside your back door? I'm talking about ventures you can start in your own backyard. Ventures that are generating $50,000, $100,000, even $500,000 a year for regular people who simply decided to think differently about the space they already own. Most people look at their backyard and see a lawn to mow. Smart people look at the same space and see a business waiting to be built. And today, I'm going to show you 20 of those businesses, ranked from impressive to absolutely life-changing. Stick around because number 3 on this list is one of the most expensive commodities on the planet by weight, more valuable than gold, and you can grow it in a few square feet. And number 8 is so unassuming that most people literally think it's pond scum, but it's being studied as a next-generation protein source for a reason. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we post new videos every week. And let's get into it. Here are 20 profitable backyard ventures that will make you a millionaire, ranked from impressive to absolutely incredible. Number 1, microgreens farming, the fastest ROI in agriculture. Let's start with something that sounds almost too simple to be true. Microgreens, the tiny, nutrient-packed seedlings harvested just 7 to 14 days after germination, are selling for $25 to $50 per pound at farmers markets, to restaurants, and direct to health-conscious consumers. And the ROI per square foot is unlike almost anything else in agriculture. Here's what makes microgreens a legitimate business in a box. You don't need land. You don't need expensive equipment. You need trays, growing medium, seeds, and a space with light. That's it. A single 10 by 20 tray can produce a pound or more of product in under 2 weeks. Run a few dozen trays and you have a genuine income stream. The market is there and it's hungry. High-end restaurants want them for plating and flavor. Juice bars want them for nutrition. Farmers market customers pay premium prices because they understand the health benefits. And because the harvest cycle is so short, you're not waiting a season to see returns. You're seeing them in days. Here's the business reality. A 10 by 10 foot space run efficiently can generate $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Scale that to a garage or basement, and you're talking serious money. The barrier to entry is low. The learning curve is short. And the demand is growing every year as more people prioritize nutrition. Microgreens got overlooked as a business because people assumed growing something that's small couldn't be that valuable. But value isn't determined by size. It's determined by demand meeting limited supply. And in most local markets, the supply of fresh, quality microgreens is nowhere near where it needs to be. This is the venture that proves you don't need acres to build wealth. You need a tray table and a plan. Number 2, gourmet mushroom farming. Premium pricing for premium fungi. Gourmet mushrooms are having a moment, and the people who figured this out early are cashing in hard. Oyster mushrooms, shiitake, and lion's mane sell for $12 to $25 per pound, and the market is exploding across restaurants, health food stores, and direct-to-consumer channels. Pleurotus austriatus, Lentinula edodes, Heritium erinaceus. These aren't just food. Oyster mushrooms are culinary staples in high-end kitchens. Shiitake has been a premium ingredient in Asian cuisine for centuries, and lion's mane is riding a massive wave of interest as a cognitive health supplement, showing up in everything from coffee blends to nootropic capsules. Here's what makes mushroom farming particularly brilliant as a backyard venture. You're not farming outdoors in traditional soil. You're farming in controlled substrate blocks, sawdust, straw, coffee grounds, stacked in a shed, a garage, or even a closet. The footprint is tiny. The yield is extraordinary. The business model scales naturally. Start small with a few dozen blocks. Learn the process, then expand. Local restaurants and farmers market customers are typically desperate for reliable local mushroom suppliers. Most gourmet mushrooms in grocery stores are still imported or shipped cross-country, which means local growers with fresh product have a significant advantage. Gourmet mushroom farming got ignored simply because people thought it was complicated or exotic. But the learning curve is manageable, the startup costs are reasonable, and the returns are disproportionate to the investment. It's the backyard venture that turns spare square footage into a premium product line. Number 3, saffron cultivation, the most expensive crop on earth. Now we're getting into extraordinary territory. Saffron, The crimson threads harvested from Crocus sativus sells for $2,000 to $10,000 per pound. Let that number sink in. Per pound. It is, by weight, more valuable than gold, and you can grow it in your backyard. Saffron is so expensive because of what it takes to produce it. Each crocus flower produces just 3 stigmas. Those are the threads, and they must be harvested by hand within hours of blooming. It takes roughly 75,000 flowers to produce a single pound of saffron. This is why the price is where it is, and why the supply has always been dominated by Iran and Spain. But here's the opportunity. Saffron crocuses are hardy bulbs that grow in many temperate and Mediterranean climates. The flowers bloom in fall, which is off-season for most garden crops. The harvest window is short, just a few weeks, but the effort is focused, and the payoff is extraordinary. A single square meter planted densely can produce meaningful amounts, and a serious backyard operation running several hundred square feet can generate tens of thousands of dollars. The domestic market for high-quality American-grown saffron is significantly undersupplied. Specialty food retailers, gourmet shops, and direct-to-consumer buyers are actively seeking local, traceable saffron that doesn't have to travel 6,000 miles to reach them. Saffron got dismissed as inaccessible because the numbers seem intimidating. But what sounds complex is actually methodical. Plant the bulbs. Let them naturalize. Harvest the blooms in fall. Dry the threads carefully. Sell at prices nobody questions, because the reputation of the product precedes itself. It's the crop that proves sometimes the most exclusive markets are the most accessible once you understand the system. Number 4, medicinal herb growing. The supplement industry is begging for supply. The global herbal supplement market is worth over $150 billion and growing every single year. And the dirty secret of that industry is this: most of the raw material is still imported. Quality is inconsistent, and domestic growers who can provide reliable, organic, high-quality herbs are in massive demand. Ashwagandha, ginseng, and holy basil, Withania somnifera, Panax species, Ocimum tenuiflorum. These 3 alone represent hundreds of millions of dollars in annual supplement sales. Ashwagandha, dried root cells for $25 to $60 per pound. American ginseng commands $300 to $600 per pound for mature roots. Holy basil fetches $20 to $45 per pound dried. Here's the business architecture. You're not growing for grocery stores. You're growing for supplement manufacturers, herbal tea companies, wellness brands, and direct consumers. These buyers care about quality, traceability, and consistency, which is exactly what a small-scale dedicated grower can provide better than a massive import operation. Ashwagandha grows well in dry, temperate conditions and produces harvestable roots in its first year. Holy basil thrives in warm climates and greenhouses with multiple harvests per season. Ginseng requires patience. Roots take years to mature, but the payoff is extraordinary, and the market rewards that patience with some of the highest per-pound prices in agriculture. Medicinal herbs got ignored in domestic agriculture because they were considered exotic or niche. But niche is exactly what creates premium pricing. These aren't commodity crops fighting for pennies. These are precision crops serving health-conscious consumers who will pay whatever the product demands. It's the garden that doesn't just feed people. It heals them and gets paid accordingly. Number 5, plant nursery and propagation. Clone your way to wealth. Here's one of the most elegant business models on this entire list. You take 1 plant. You propagate it into 10. You sell 9 and keep 1 to propagate again. Repeat indefinitely. That's the plant nursery and propagation business. And it's generating serious income for backyard growers who understand the power of compounding biology. High-demand plants, rare houseplants, native species, fruit trees, edible perennials, routinely sell for $15 to $200 per plant at farmers markets, garden centers, and online. And the cost to propagate a cutting or division is often just a few cents in substrate and time. The mechanics are simple. Cuttings, divisions, seeds, and tissue culture methods allow you to multiply your inventory at near zero cost. A single mother plant of a sought-after variety can produce dozens of cuttings per year. Rare hostas, unusual succulents, heritage fruit trees, and native pollinator plants all command strong prices from gardeners who can't find them at big box stores. The business scales beautifully. Start with a few dozen pots in a backyard greenhouse or cold frame. Build your inventory over a season. Hit your local farmer's market and watch what sells. Reinvest in more variety and more mother plants. Within a year or two, you can be running a nursery that generates real income with minimal input costs. What makes propagation especially powerful is the margin structure. When your raw material is essentially free because you grew it, the price you get at sale is almost entirely profit. A $2 cutting that sells for $25 is 1,000% return. That math doesn't exist in most businesses. Plant nurseries got overlooked as a backyard venture because people assumed you needed a commercial greenhouse and acres of space. You don't. You need knowledge of propagation techniques, attention to what the market wants, and the discipline to build inventory before you sell it. It's the business that proves biology can be your most powerful production tool. Number 6. Beekeeping. 3 income streams in one hive. Beekeeping is one of the most overlooked multiple income stream businesses you can run from a backyard. A single hive doesn't just produce honey. It produces beeswax, propolis, and royal jelly, each with its own premium market. Raw honey sells for $12 to $25 per pound. Beeswax commands $10 to $20 per pound. Propolis, the antimicrobial resin bees used to seal their hives, sells for $30 to $70 per pound in the natural health market. The math becomes extraordinary when you consider that a productive hive can yield 30 to 60 pounds of surplus honey in a good season, plus meaningful amounts of beeswax and propolis. 2 or 3 hives managed intelligently can generate $3,000 to $8,000 annually before you've even thought about value-added products. And here's where it gets interesting. The real money in beekeeping isn't always in raw product. It's in products. Beeswax candles sell for $15 to $40 each. Raw honey with local flavor profiles commands premium prices from consumers who care about provenance. Propolis tinctures and lip balms fetch extraordinary margins in natural health markets. You're not just a beekeeper, you're a cottage food manufacturer with the most interesting raw material on the planet. Beekeeping also has an ecosystem benefit that's increasingly valued. Pollination services for local farms and orchards represent another income stream. Some beekeepers charge $150 to $200 per hive per season for pollination contracts. Beekeeping got dismissed as a hobby business, but hobbies that generate 3 income streams and compound year over year aren't hobbies. They're businesses in disguise. It's the venture that proves nature's most organized workers can work for you. Number 7. Quail farming, the most space-efficient animal on your property. If you've ever looked at your backyard and thought it was too small for livestock, quail farming will change your perspective entirely. Coturnix quail are arguably the most space-efficient meat and egg animal available to the backyard farmer. They begin laying eggs at 6 to 8 weeks of age. Each bird produces nearly an egg a day, and the gourmet market for quail eggs pays extraordinary prices. Quail eggs sell for $3 to $6 per dozen at farmers markets and specialty grocers. That's 3 to 4 times the price of chicken eggs. High-end restaurants pay even more for consistent, locally sourced quail eggs they can feature as a premium menu item. And quail meat is a growing niche in farm-to-table dining, commanding $5 to $10 per bird whole. Here's the efficiency equation. A dozen quail can be kept comfortably in the space required for 2 chickens. They're quiet enough for suburban environments. Feed conversion is excellent. And because they mature and produce so rapidly, the income cycle is dramatically faster than almost any other livestock venture. The business model works at multiple scales. A small backyard operation with 50 to 100 birds can supply a local restaurant account and generate $500 to $1,500 per month consistently. Scale to a few hundred birds, and you're looking at a real income stream that requires only a couple of hours a week to maintain. Quail got overlooked in backyard farming because people default to chickens, but chickens require more space, more noise tolerance from neighbors, and produce a commodity product. Quail produce a premium product in a fraction of the space. It's the poultry business that proves small can be more profitable than big when you choose your market right. Number 8, rabbit farming. High reproduction meets strong niche demand. Rabbit farming is one of those ventures that the farming mainstream has almost completely ignored, while a dedicated community of growers quietly builds wealth in it. Rabbits reproduce at a rate that sounds almost impossible. A single doe can produce 40 to 60 offspring per year. The meat is lean, high protein, and increasingly sought after in health-conscious and gourmet markets. Rabbit meat sells for $8 to $15 per pound at farmers markets and through direct restaurant sales. Exotic pet markets pay strong prices for breeding pairs of premium breeds, and rabbit pelts and fiber, from Angora breeds in particular, add yet another income stream for growers willing to diversify. Here's what makes rabbit farming uniquely suited to the backyard. Rabbits are nearly silent. They require minimal space. A well-designed hutch system can house a productive colony in a 10 by 20 foot area. Their manure is the most garden-ready fertilizer you can produce, meaning even their waste is a saleable product. And because they're not regulated as livestock in most municipalities the way larger animals are, getting started is dramatically simpler. The market dynamics are excellent. Rabbit is a staple protein in Europe and is rapidly gaining attention in America as consumers look for sustainable, ethical meat alternatives. Farm-to-table restaurants specifically seek out rabbit because it's a story ingredient. Diners want to know where it came from, and local is always better. Rabbit farming got dismissed because it lacks the cultural familiarity of poultry or pork in the American market. But that unfamiliarity is exactly what creates opportunity. You're not competing with industrial producers. You're serving a niche with passionate demand and almost no local supply. It's the livestock venture that proves sometimes the less popular choice is the most profitable one. Number 9. Black soldier. Fly farming. The insect revolution has started without you. This one is going to sound unusual. Stay with me. Black soldier fly larvae, Hermetia illucens, are becoming one of the most sought-after animal feed ingredients on the planet, and backyard farmers are producing them with kitchen scraps and organic waste. Live larvae sell for $5 to $15 per pound. Dried larvae can command even more in premium markets. Here's why this matters right now. The aquaculture industry, the poultry industry, and the reptile pet market are all desperately seeking sustainable, high-protein feed alternatives to fish meal and conventional grain-based feeds. Black soldier fly larvae are 40% protein and 30% fat, a nearly perfect nutritional profile for fish, birds, and reptiles. The demand is growing faster than supply can keep up. The production system is elegant in its simplicity. BSF larvae eat organic waste, food scraps, spent grain, vegetable trimmings, and convert it into high-value biomass at extraordinary efficiency. A small colony can process pounds of waste daily, while producing harvestable larvae in 2 to 3 weeks. The footprint is minimal, the startup cost is low, and the waste-to-product conversion ratio means your raw material is essentially free. The business model has multiple angles. Sell live larvae to local backyard chicken keepers, who pay premium prices for protein-rich treats. Supply dried larvae to the pet industry. Partner with local aquaculture operations that need consistent feed. And the residual frass, the waste the larvae produce, is a premium garden amendment that sells for more than most compost. Black soldier fly farming got overlooked because people haven't caught up to where the protein economy is heading. But early movers in the insect farming space are building infrastructure and customer relationships that will be enormously valuable when the mainstream catches up. It's the venture that turns garbage into gold and proves that the future of protein farming is already here. Number 10. Snail farming. Heliciculture. The high-end restaurant market you've never considered. Snail farming, heliciculture, is one of those ventures that sounds exotic until you look at the numbers, and then it sounds like the best idea you've ever heard. Escargot sells for $20 to $40 per pound live, and the demand from high-end restaurants is consistent and largely unmet by domestic production. Helix aspersa and Helix pomatia, the primary edible species, are manageable, low-maintenance creatures that reproduce prolifically in a contained environment. A well-designed backyard snail operation requires little more than a sheltered enclosure, humidity management, and feeding. They eat vegetable scraps, leafy greens, and calcium supplements. Their space requirement is minimal, and they're essentially silent. The market opportunity is extraordinary. Most escargot served in American restaurants is imported from France or Eastern Europe. Local, fresh snails are a premium product that chefs will pay significantly more for, and they'll pay even more for the story of a local, sustainable producer they can name on the menu. Here's what makes heliciculture particularly interesting as a business. The startup herd reproduces itself. You're not constantly buying inputs. The animals grow your inventory for you. And once you've established relationships with restaurant buyers, you have recurring orders that are extremely predictable. Snail farming got dismissed because it sounds strange. But strange is exactly what creates opportunity in food businesses. Restaurants don't want what everyone else is serving. They want something distinctive. A local, artisan-raised escargot program is the kind of story that ends up in food publications and drives reservation demand. It's the venture that proves the most unusual ideas sometimes generate the most loyal customers. Number 11. Aquaponics systems. Double your income by growing fish and plants together. Aquaponics is the business model where biology does the accounting for you. In an aquaponics system, fish produce waste that fertilizes plants, and plants clean the water that goes back to the fish. Two separate income streams sharing the same infrastructure. It's one of the most capital-efficient food production systems ever devised. Tilapia, catfish, and perch are the most common fish in commercial aquaponics, selling for $5 to $10 per pound. But the real money is often in the plants: lettuce, herbs, watercress, and specialty greens that sell for premium prices and turn over in weeks. Run both channels from the same system, and your revenue per square foot becomes extraordinary. A modest backyard aquaponics setup, a 500-gallon fish tank paired with grow beds, can produce hundreds of pounds of fish and thousands of dollars worth of greens per year. The water usage is a fraction of conventional farming. The chemical inputs are minimal, and the system becomes more stable and productive over time as the biological relationships mature. The market for aquaponically grown produce is a premium story that sells itself. Consumers and restaurants understand that aquaponic greens are grown without pesticides, without soil, using recycled water. That's a compelling narrative that supports premium pricing. Aquaponics got overlooked as a backyard business because it sounds technical, and there is a learning curve. Getting the biological balance right takes some attention early on, but once the system is dialed in, it's remarkably low maintenance for the output it generates. It's the venture that turns water and biology into a double income stream running in your backyard around the clock. Number 12. Backyard fish farming. Cash in on the protein gap. Separate from the integrated aquaponics model, pure backyard fish farming, using tanks, ponds, or raceways, is a straightforward venture with strong returns and growing demand. Tilapia can be raised to harvest weight in 8 months. Catfish in 12. Koi, the ornamental variety, can command staggering prices in the premium pond market. Here's the income architecture. Food fish, like tilapia and catfish, sell for $5 to $10 per pound, live or processed. But ornamental koi are in a category of their own. Premium koi sell for $50 to $500 per fish. Championship quality specimens can sell for thousands. Koi keeping is a passionate hobby community with serious money behind it, and quality domestic breeders are always in demand. A backyard pond system can be built for a few $1,000s and stocked to productive capacity within months. The per-pound return on fish is competitive with specialty vegetables, and the market is highly diversified. Direct consumer sales, restaurants, and the ornamental pond market all represent viable channels. Fish farming got overlooked as a backyard venture because most people think of it as an industrial activity requiring ponds measured in acres. But intensive recirculating systems and carefully managed ponds can produce significant yields in small footprints. It's the venture that proves water is as productive as soil when you give it the right inhabitants. Number 13. Duckweed farming, the pond scum that NASA studied. Here's the one I promised at the top of the video. Duckweed, Wolfia and Lemna species, is the fastest growing plant on Earth. It can double its biomass in 24 to 48 hours under optimal conditions. And the tiny aquatic plant that most people mistake for algae sells for $20 to $60 per pound dried. What makes duckweed remarkable isn't just the growth rate, it's the protein content. Duckweed is 40 to 45% protein by dry weight. That's higher than soybeans. That's higher than most conventional animal feeds. NASA actually studied duckweed as a potential food source for long-duration space missions. And now, the supplement industry, aquaculture operations, and animal feed companies are waking up to what the space program already figured out. Here's the backyard business opportunity. You can grow massive quantities of duckweed in simple tanks, ponds, or tubs. The inputs are minimal: nutrient-rich water, sunlight, and warmth. The yield per square foot of water surface is extraordinary, and the market is significantly undersupplied because most people still think of this plant as something to skim out of their pond. The applications are growing. Protein powder producers want it. Aquaculture operations use it as fish feed. Specialty pet food companies are experimenting with it. And as the demand for sustainable, plant-based protein grows, duckweed is increasingly positioned as a solution. Duckweed disappeared from agricultural consciousness because it looks like pond scum. It doesn't have a glamorous origin story. But for anyone serious about building income from a backyard water feature or a simple tank system, duckweed is one of the most undervalued opportunities available. It's the plant that teaches you to look at what everyone else throws away and ask, what's this actually worth? Number 14, hydroponic vertical farming. Stack your yields upward. When you can't expand outward, expand upward. That's the genius of hydroponic vertical farming, a production system that stacks growing levels to multiply yield from the same floor footprint. And it's becoming one of the most compelling backyard-scale food businesses available. Leafy greens grown hydroponically, lettuce, spinach, arugula, basil, microgreens, sell for $5 to $15 per pound and can be harvested every 3 to 4 weeks in a well-managed system. Stack 6 or 8 levels of growing trays in a controlled environment, and you've multiplied your yield 6-fold or 8-fold without using an inch more floor space. The numbers at small scale are genuinely exciting. A 4 by 8 foot vertical rack system with LED lighting and automated watering can produce 50 to 100 pounds of greens per month at $8 to $12 per pound. Selling direct, that's $400 to $1,200 per month from a single unit that fits in a spare room or garage bay. The market access is easier than most people assume. Farmers markets, CSA boxes, local restaurants, and food co-ops are all underserved by local produce suppliers in most communities. Fresh, locally grown greens with zero pesticides command premium prices from buyers who understand the value of what they're getting. Vertical hydroponic farming got overlooked by the backyard farming community because the initial setup requires investment in infrastructure and a willingness to learn the system. But the returns are disproportionate to the complexity once you're running. It's the venture that takes the ceiling off your production capacity by ignoring the ceiling entirely. Number 15, worm farming, vermiculture. Sell the workers and the product. Worm farming might be the most quietly profitable backyard business most people have never considered. Red wigglers, Icenia fetida, convert organic waste into 2 separate premium products. Worm castings, one of the most nutrient-dense soil amendments available, and the worms themselves, which sell to fishing suppliers, composting operations, and educational institutions. Premium worm castings sell for 50 cents to $1 per pound in bulk, but bagged for the retail garden market, they command $10 to $30 for a 5-pound bag. A productive worm bin can produce hundreds of pounds of castings per year with minimal input beyond food scraps and paper. And the worms themselves, red wigglers sell for $20 to $40 per pound to bait shops, composting operations, and gardeners starting their own bins. Here's the compounding beauty of this business. Your workforce reproduces itself. Red wigglers double their population roughly every 60 to 90 days under good conditions. The more you invest in building your colony, the more it produces, both in castings and in saleable worms. Your raw material is organic waste that is free and abundant. The market has never been stronger. The organic gardening boom has driven demand for premium soil amendments through the roof. Consumers who understand the difference between conventional fertilizer and worm castings will pay significantly more for the biological product. Worm farming got dismissed as a hobby activity because the product seems unglamorous. But $30 for a bag of castings that cost you almost nothing to produce is one of the best margin structures in backyard business. It's the venture that proves the most profitable enterprises are sometimes the ones that operate entirely underground. Number 16, compost production. Business. Turn waste into premium soil. Every restaurant, every grocery store, every landscaping operation in your area is paying to get rid of organic waste right now. And simultaneously, every gardener, every landscaper, and every urban farm is buying soil amendment products at premium prices. The gap between those two realities is your business. Premium finished compost sells for $30 to $80 per cubic yard in bulk, and significantly more bagged and branded for the retail garden market. A serious backyard composting operation receiving free organic inputs from local businesses can produce thousands of dollars in finished product per year from essentially zero raw material cost. The business model has elegant economics. You accept food scraps, spent brewing grains, coffee grounds, and yard waste. Inputs that businesses often pay to have hauled away. You process them through a managed composting system into a finished, tested, premium product. You sell that product to the same landscapers and gardeners who are currently buying inferior imported products. The premium compost market loves local. Customers want to know their compost came from identifiable, clean inputs, not unknown industrial waste. A backyard composting business with a story, a brand, and consistent quality can command prices that large industrial operations can't match because you have something they don't: a narrative. Compost production got overlooked as a business because it sounds like glorified garbage handling. But turning something with negative value, waste, into a product that sells for $50 a yard is the definition of value creation. It's the venture that proves every bit of organic waste in your community is a raw material waiting to be transformed. Number 17, rare seed selling. The heirloom and survival niche. Here's a business that requires almost no physical infrastructure, just knowledge, a network, and access to the right genetics. Rare heirloom seeds are selling for extraordinary prices through online platforms, at seed swaps, and through dedicated heirloom seed companies. And the demand has surged dramatically as more people grow their own food. Rare tomato varieties, unusual pepper cultivars, heritage grain seeds, and survival seed collections sell for $3 to $8 per seed packet through mainstream channels, and significantly more for truly rare or difficult to source varieties. A single prolific heirloom tomato plant can yield enough seeds for hundreds of packets. The production cost is nearly zero. The margin is extraordinary. The market has multiple layers. Homesteaders want reliable, open-pollinated seeds they can save year after year. Survivalists want complete, diverse seed banks. Gardeners want varieties they can't find at any nursery or big box store. Chefs want seeds for unusual vegetables that set their restaurant gardens apart. Each of these communities is passionate, well-funded, and loyal to suppliers they trust. The business scales through reputation and inventory. Build a collection of truly rare varieties. Grow them out carefully. Package them professionally. Build a following on social platforms that appreciate what you're doing. Online marketplaces for rare seeds are underserved, and sellers who develop expertise and a reputation for viable, authentic genetics command loyal customer bases. Rare seed selling got overlooked because it seems like a community activity rather than a business. But communities with passion and deep pockets are exactly the markets where serious money is made. It's the venture that proves intellectual and botanical knowledge can be as valuable as physical production capacity. Number 18, cut flower farming. Weddings and events pay premium prices. The cut flower industry in America is almost entirely dominated by imported product. Roughly 80% of cut flowers sold in the US come from Colombia, Ecuador, and the Netherlands, which means local flower farmers who supply the wedding and events market are operating in a premium niche with almost no domestic competition. Specialty cut flowers, ranunculus, lisianthus, dahlias, peonies, unusual sunflowers, sell for $1 to $5 per stem at wholesale and far more in retail and event design contexts. A single backyard quarter acre planted in specialty cuts can generate $20,000 to $50,000 per year, through direct sales to florists, wedding planners, and farmers market customers. Here's the market reality. Wedding florists are actively searching for local, seasonal, unusual flowers that they can use to build distinctive arrangements their clients can't get from a standard wholesale supplier. A local flower farmer with a diverse, interesting selection is providing something that genuinely can't be replicated by the import market. The business builds beautifully on relationships. Get known by 2 or 3 wedding florists in your area, and you have a customer base that books months in advance. That kind of revenue visibility is rare in small farming and extraordinarily valuable for planning production. Cut flower farming got overlooked because people thought of flowers as a secondary market to food crops. But premium flowers for the events market command prices per pound that would make most vegetable farmers envious. It's the farm venture that proves sometimes the most beautiful things are also the most profitable. Number 19, bonsai tree growing, high ticket, long-term payoff. Bonsai is the backyard business that teaches patience and rewards it generously. A well-developed bonsai specimen that has been shaped and trained over several years can sell for $200, $500, $2,000, even more for exceptional specimens. And the process of getting there, while requiring time, doesn't require constant labor. The business model is one of the most compelling in horticulture. You invest time, not just money. Each year that passes adds value to your specimens without adding proportionate cost. A 10-year-old bonsai is worth dramatically more than a 5-year-old one, but it didn't cost 10 times as much to produce. The value accumulates in the tree itself. Entry-level bonsai suitable for beginners sell for $30 to $100 and represent a volume business that finances your longer-term inventory. Intermediate specimens from 3 to 7 years sell in the $100 to $500 range. And as your older, more developed specimens mature, they become the high-ticket anchors of your sales, pieces that collectors and enthusiastic hobbyists will pay extraordinary prices for. The market is global. Online platforms have made it possible to sell bonsai nationally, which means your customer base isn't limited to what you can reach at a local farmer's market. Collectors seek out specific species, specific styles, and specific growers with reputations for quality. Bonsai got underestimated as a business because the long development timeline scares people away. But that's precisely what creates value. Time is the barrier to entry that keeps competition low, and for someone willing to start now and stay patient, the inventory compounds in value every single year. It's the business that proves sometimes slow growth is the fastest path to wealth. Number 20, specialty, pepper farming, ghost peppers, and rare chilies. Command, extraordinary prices. We've saved one of the most exciting for last. Specialty peppers, ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers, chocolate habaneros, rare heirloom chilies. Command prices that would be unimaginable in conventional vegetable farming. Fresh ghost peppers sell for $10 to $30 per pound. Dried and powdered, rare chili varieties can reach $50 to $100 per pound. And demand is accelerating as hot sauce culture, culinary exploration, and the global chili market all expand simultaneously. Capsicum chinense and its super hot cousins, the varieties that register at 1 million or more Scoville units, are irreplaceable in their applications. You can't substitute a ghost pepper with anything else and get the same result. That irreplaceability drives premium pricing that has no ceiling in the specialty market. Here's the business ecosystem. Fresh peppers go to high-end restaurants, specialty grocery stores, and farmers market customers who appreciate heat. Dried and powdered forms go to artisan hot sauce makers, spice companies, and direct consumers building home spice collections. Value-added products, fermented hot sauces, chili oils, smoked powders, multiply your revenue from the same raw material dramatically. Specialty peppers grow extremely well in containers and raised beds, meaning the backyard is a perfectly viable production environment. A 10 by 20 foot raised bed, intensively planted with super hot varieties, can produce hundreds of pounds per season. Specialty peppers got overlooked because most people think of peppers as a commodity. But commodity thinking is the enemy of profit. When you grow what nobody else is growing and serve the customers who can't find it anywhere else, you set your own prices. It's the crop that proves heat has real market value. And the hotter the pepper, the higher the check. If you made it this far, you now understand something that most people sitting on potentially productive backyards don't. The path to financial freedom through a backyard venture isn't about growing more of what everyone else is growing. It's about identifying the intersection of strong demand, limited local supply, and something you can produce better than an import operation 5,000 miles away. The beautiful reality about backyard ventures is accessibility. Many of these can be started for a few $100s. Many can be run on weekends while you build them into something that eventually replaces your income entirely. The common thread isn't the specific product. It's the mindset. See your backyard as productive. See your time as an investment. See niche markets not as limitations, but as advantages. If you're ready to start thinking differently about what your property can produce, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and tell me which venture you're most excited to start. Are you team plants, team animals, or team soil? I read every single comment, and I want to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed to Homestead Roots yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. We're building a community of people who understand that financial independence doesn't come from following the crowd. It comes from finding the opportunities everyone else is walking past. And your backyard might be the best opportunity you've ever had